Hey, I'm Arlise, I'm an artist, and today I'm going to go through all of my favorite sketchbook tips from all of my past and current sketchbooks. Firstly, my favorite thing to do in my sketchbooks is to use a lot of color. A lot of these pages are just full of color. Something I experimented a lot with in my older sketchbooks is like cutting things out of the page or adding things to it, like gluing stuff or sticking stuff on it. So here, cut out a star shape here, and I glued something on the back of it, and I just covered it with some stuff back here to hide that. Add like some dimension and depth and like something different to your sketchbooks. It's just like, you can do whatever you want with your sketchbooks. There are no rules. A fun thing to do is incorporating the color palette that you used while you're drawing. I just really like to see that addition of the actual color palette that I used in that painting or drawing. And I think it just adds like a cool aesthetic. Something important to do in your sketchbooks is not only create awesome drawings, is to also have your ideas written down. If you like to have a separate space for this, that's totally cool. Like I said in the beginning, I will sometimes use multiple sketchbooks at the same time, like one or like two or three. These were some clay wall decoration things that I made a few years ago that I still have on my wall, and I wanted to like the size and dimensions and everything and like what it would actually look like. And so that way I can refer back to it, and it's also like a nice little time capsule to see what I was up to at this time, what kind of crafts I was up to. With sketchbooking is that you're going to have drawings that aren't perfect, especially if the page next to it or the page before it is better than the newer drawing that you just did. You just have to get over that fear of creating bad drawings, because it's not a big deal. Your sketchbook is a place where you are teaching yourself how to do things. You'll have pages where you'll be sketching stuff multiple times. You'll have random things like this. You can do whatever you want, and you have to treat it that way. Easy, chill kind of drawing to do is to do a bunch of different colors in the back and then draw on top of that with black or really dark color, and you'll create like some funky things like this and like this. And make your sketchbook your own thing. Experiment with patterns and maybe collage work. It's just so much fun to add texture and make the paper heavy, make it wet, make it warped, do whatever you want. And if you're using a paper that maybe is not super bleed proof, like here with these alcohol markers, you could either cover the back of that or leave it alone and appreciate it on both sides. I really love the randomness of these few pages here where I literally drew cat memes with colored pencils, and I think it's just so silly. You can get as little or as much detail as you want, because with cats, they can either look really realistic or really simple and silly. If you like to draw people, I recommend having a yearly practice where you draw an annual self-portrait of yourself. So this is the first time that I did it, and here was another self-portrait exactly a year later, and I can already see a difference in my drawing style compared to that first one a year before. Totally different, especially the way I looked. My hair was shorter. As you can see, I love to draw people, so sometimes I'll have pages or spreads of just a bunch of portraits. I'm kind of interested in doing a 100 heads challenge. I feel like I need a whole specific sketchbook for that, because that's so many heads, but I think it'd be a fun practice. Let me know if you've ever tried it, or if you would like me to try it and take you along with me on that journey. There's also going to be those times where the first time you draw it or paint it, it doesn't look great, and then the second time you attempt it or you come back to it another day, it'll look 10 times better. Here's an example of that moment where I realized that painting yellow paint on top of blue paint mixes the paint. So I swapped the colors that I did here, and I just left the blue for the background after that yellow underpainting. And underpainting is one of my favorite painting tips to do, and I also do that with markers too. I also will like to keep the actual paint palette piece that I used, or little sheets like this where I wrote down on a separate sheet of paper like the swatches of the colors of whatever materials that I was using. Sometimes I'll add that to my sketchbooks, and I've definitely done this a lot in my more recent sketchbooks too. Your sketchbook is also a place to experiment. So here's a couple like monochrome colored pencil drawings that I did, some that I really enjoyed and others that I didn't like that much. It's also the place where you need to experiment other things. Like here, I was using my lino cut stamps that I made and just putting them here. And here is a page of ideas for those lino cuts. I did end up doing this one and this star here, and I think I did a paper clip too. I also did this a lot in both sketchbooks, and in a lot of my sketchbooks where I'll just kind of sketch random stuff with maybe a single marker or a pencil or a pen, and then later on come back and fill in the gap with colors or random little things. And whenever I wasn't happy with some drawings, I would just overlap more stuff on top. So if you squint, you might see some drawings underneath all of this marker here and some color that kind of didn't get covered very well, but I just covered it with other things that I liked. Or I would also just completely glue paper on top of whatever I didn't like, or put a sticker over it, things like that. And pages in your sketchbook might be simple and maybe weird like this, or it'll be more detailed and more like thought out. So what I really liked in that last sketchbook is like having the color palette or the paint palette on the page too. So I just started actually keeping them and gluing them onto here. And this acrylic paint kind of sticks to each other, so I have this piece of transparent paper here that I can protect. And I reused this palette a bunch of times because I keep a wet palette that keeps the paint palette wet for a really long time. So I wrote down like how many paintings I did with it basically. Since I was just reusing that wet palette, I just painted stuff that aren't actually the colors of these things. So this was a black and white cat that I painted with blues and browns, and this fish that are probably fish colors, but this like suit what weren't those colors. I feel like having a muse or an inspiration is a really key tool to sketchbooking too. These are a bunch of pencil drawings I did of my partner doing various things, and I feel like having an inspiration, or if you have a pet, you can draw them a bunch of times. I've definitely drawn my cat so many times in my later stuff and digitally. So just having an inspiration that you can just be like, wait, can you pose for me? Or just while your cat's sleeping, you can draw them for a while. And this is the first time that I started that drawing series on my channel where I drew stuff with only one color. So this is a drawing I did with all of my purple art supplies. It was so fun. So I gathered all of my purple art supplies and I drew this. And compared to my sketchbooks from the year before and the year before that, I feel like my portraits were not as detailed as this, and that's something that I really love about sketchbooking, is that drawing stuff over and over again is the best practice that you can do, especially thumbnailing, drawing a million thumbnails when you want to create something, or if you have an idea on a project, or if you want to create a drawing period, draw a bunch of thumbnails, like which is little small boxes or squares of that thing, and pick your favorite one and then work with that. Especially with my craft ideas, if I'm going to be building something and I want it to be perfect, I need to thumbnail, I need to prototype, I need to figure out how to achieve it. Something that I notice in myself, and I feel like a lot of other artists, especially that sketchbook, probably struggle with, is getting over that first page fear. You just have an expectation of what your sketchbook is going to be sometimes, and you probably want that first page to look really good because it's the first thing you open up to when you come back to it, or if you're flipping through it like I do a lot. And this is just a weird drawing. but I, for some reason, decided that that's what this first page was going to be. And I feel like my other first pages are also kind of weird, but that's okay. Really, if your first page is as weird as this one, it's just a funny little thing to look back at, and it's not a big deal. You could also save space for swatching stuff. I have multiple pages in my recent sketchbooks, my current sketchbooks, where I just have to like swatch stuff. Or if I'm blending with different markers and that one marker that I used probably got a little bit dirty from mixing colors together, I'll just kind of use a blank page to scrub out the dirty color that got mixed in. And you can also learn from your sketchbooks. Here I did an all pink page where I used all pink art supplies like all of these other pages, and I did like an under like kind of base thing with this really light pink, and then I layered a bunch of pinks on top of that. So I did that here too, and it came out a little bit too pink than I thought, but I just kept layering with my paint markers, and I think I also used alcohol markers here too, and I think it came out really well. So I realized that I can underpaint with my alcohol markers. And your sketchbook is also a place where you might want to practice stuff. So I haven't done like gesture drawings or figure drawings since art school, so I wanted to remind myself that I can draw full bodies and not just like the head all the time. So I practiced a few times some poses here, and again, warm up and then the next drawing. And yeah, these are really cool too. I also wanted to practice drawing masculine people, because if you might have noticed, I mostly draw women, which is lovely, love women. But gotta remember that guys are beautiful too, and I can draw everybody. And occasionally I'll write the date that I was drawing to. And it's just a nice little reminder and a mini time capsule. And you also might discover things about yourself in your sketchbooks. This was the first time that I drew this little original character that I have, and then I've drawn them so many times. And this was like the first time that I tried a different art style and kind of stuck with it, kind of cartoony, Animal Crossing character kind of style. This sketchbook is kind of a little bit of everything. I also started to kind of use this as a junk journal a little bit, where I'm just gluing stuff. So this is a different texture. This is like from like a cardboard mailer thing, which is like a really like nice thin paper that I just glued on here and used markers on top of that. More gluing random stuff. So that was some sketchbook tips from all of my sketchbooks from the last few years and my current sketchbooks. Let me know which tips were your favorite tips that you would like to try, and recommend some tips down below to me and the other artists watching. Yeah, I just love to draw pretty much, as you can tell from all of the sketchbooks and all of the paintings that I have up on the wall. Let me put these down before I drop them. 9, 10, 11 sketchbooks, not counting the mini sketchbooks that I just made over the weekend while I was just crafting constantly. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it inspired you. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.